I used to believe love was the answer to everything. You give enough, stay. Patient stay. Loyal. And somehow, the pieces just fall into place. That's what I thought when I met her. Her name was Lauren. We were both 26, working in the same tech company in Austin, Texas. I was a software engineer grinding through code in a dim cubicle. She was in HR lighting up the office with this effortless charm. The first time I saw her, she was laughing at some dumb joke in the break room, her eyes catching the light like she was the only one in color. Smart sharp with a sarcastic edge that made every conversation feel like a spark. I was done for before we even had coffee together. Fast forward 6 years, we were married. Got a small house in a quiet Austin suburb, cedar trees out front. A mortgage I worked overtime to cover. I was the provider, not bragging, just how it was. 60-hour weeks freelance gigs when bills stacked up. Lauren had everything she needed. Her yoga classes, her girls' trips, her $200 skincare subscriptions. She worked part-time after a while, said she needed space to find herself. I didn't argue. If I could carry the load so she could breathe easier, wasn't that love? Wasn't that what you do for someone you die for? But love's funny. It blinds you. You don't see the cracks until they're canyons. At first, it was small things. She'd dodge my kisses, say she was tired or stressed. I'd try to hold her hand, and she'd pull away her phone, glowing brighter than her smile. Nights became routine on her side of the bed, scrolling Instagram back-turned while I lay there pretending it didn't sting. I thought maybe she's just going through something. Maybe I'm not trying hard enough. Then came the night that broke the illusion. We were at a company gala, all chandeliers and fake laughs. I was in a suit I'd bought, just for her, hoping she'd notice. She was in a red dress, radiant, working the room like a pro. I stood by the bar, watching her charm everyone but me. Then it happened. Brad, her slick HR manager, made some joke, and she laughed louder than I'd heard in months. Someone asked her how we were doing, and she smirked, glass in hand, and said, "Oh, Nathan, he's great at paying the bills. Keeps the lights on, right?" The room chuckled. My face burned. I was her husband, not her accountant. But to her, to them, I was just the guy who funded her life. I drove us home in silence. She didn't notice. She was too busy texting. Probably Brad, probably planning the next brunch I'd pay for. That night, lying awake, I realized something. I wasn't her partner anymore. I was her ATM. And the worst part, I'd let it happen. That night at the gala stuck with me like a splinter you can't pull out. I kept replaying Lauren's words. He's great at paying the bills, and the way everyone laughed like I was some kind of punchline. I wanted to believe it was a one-off, a bad moment. But deep down, I knew it wasn't. Things had been shifting for months, so slow I barely noticed until the ground was gone beneath me. Lauren started pulling away more. No more morning kisses, no more late-night talks. She'd come home, toss her bag on the counter, and head straight to her phone. I'd ask about her day, and she'd give me one-word answers, her eyes glued to Instagram. I'd try to hug her, maybe steal a moment in the kitchen, and she'd stiffen, like my touch was an invasion. "I'm tired, Nathan," she'd say, or "I'm stressed." Then it became, "It's my body, my rules. Don't touch me unless I say so." That line hit like a brick. I wasn't asking for much, just a spark, a sign she still saw me as her husband. but she'd look at me like I was a stranger, like I was asking for something I hadn't earned. What hurt worse was how she gave everyone else the version of her I used to know. Her friends got her laughs. Her coworkers got her charm. She'd come home buzzing about Brad, this Brad, that. Brad Whitaker, her HR manager, the guy with the polished smile and the kind of confidence that screams trouble. Brad's so funny, she'd say, scrolling through his Instagram stories. He really gets me. Gets you, I thought. What about the guy paying for your $500 spa weekends? The guy who's been here through every late bill and bad day. Then it got worse. One night, I was balancing our budget, something I did alone, always, when I noticed a charge. $2,000 at a jewelry store. I thought it was a mistake. We didn't buy jewelry, not with a mortgage and car payments. I checked the statement. It wasn't a mistake. It was a men's watch delivered to Brad's address. My heart sank. I confronted her calm as I could. Lauren, what's this charge? A watch for Brad. She didn't even blink. Oh, that it was a team gift. Everyone chipped in. He's been such a great mentor. Chipped in. With my money, I checked the account. No one else's name was on that purchase. Just ours. Just mine. I stood there staring at her, waiting for something, an apology, an explanation. Nothing. She just shrugged. Said, "Don't make it a big deal, Nathan. You're acting paranoid." Paranoid. When my wife's buying her coworker a $2,000 watch while I'm scraping by to cover her sushi nights, I went to bed that night, not angry, but hollow. Like someone had scooped out the part of me that used to hope. She didn't notice. She was too busy posting selfies from some rooftop bar, probably with Brad, probably on my dime. The next morning, she asked for $500. Girls' trip this weekend, she said, casual, like it was nothing. You got it right. I looked at her, her perfectly manicured nails tapping the counter, her eyes not even meeting mine. That's when it hit me. She didn't see me anymore. Not as a husband, not as a partner. I was just the guy who paid for her life while she gave her smiles to someone else, and I was done pretending it was okay. The $2,000 watch was a gut punch, but I still wanted to believe Lauren. Maybe it was a mistake. Maybe she didn't mean to hurt me. I clung to that hope like a lifeline, even as it frayed. But the truth has a way of slipping through the cracks, and what I found next wasn't just a crack, it was a chasm. It started with a phone call I wasn't supposed to hear. Lauren was in the living room, her voice low, almost a whisper. I was in the kitchen, making coffee, trying to act like everything was normal. Then I heard her say, "Mom, I got it under control. He won't notice." My ears pricked up. Mom. That was Diane Lauren's mother. Diane was a piece of work, always dripping in designer clothes, always talking about her investments and connections. I never liked her, but I tolerated her for Lauren. I edged closer, quiet, holding my breath. Lauren's voice sharpened. "Yeah, I transferred another $5,000 last week. He's too busy working to check." My stomach twisted. Transferred? To who? For what? I didn't confront her. Not yet. I waited until she left for yoga, then opened our banking app. My hands shook as I scrolled through the transactions. There it was, $5,000 to an account I didn't recognize. Then another $10,000 a month before. And another $15,000 before that. In total, $50,000 gone from our joint account, my savings, sent to Diane. No explanation, no discussion, just gone. I dug deeper, found emails between Lauren and Diane. One from Diane read, "Keep him sweet, honey." Men like Nathan are easy to manage. Just smile, and he'll keep paying. Another said, the yacht payment's due. Send another 10K. Yacht Diane was living on a yacht in Miami, sipping champagne while I was working nights to cover our mortgage. I felt sick. Not just betrayed, but stupid. I'd been played. Diane wasn't just a meddling mother-in-law. She was the puppet master. She'd been coaching Lauren, telling her how to keep me on a leash. Don't let him get too close, one email said. Men get clingy when you give them too much. Keep him focused on the bills. That's why Lauren pulled away. That's why my body, my rules became her mantra. It wasn't about boundaries. It was about control. Diane's control. Lauren was her soldier, and I was the target. But it got worse. I found a photo on Diane's Instagram, geotagged at some fancy marina. She was posing on a yacht, all smiles captioned, living my best life, thanks to my favorite investor. That was my money, my sweat, my 60-hour weeks. And she was laughing about it, flaunting it, while I was eating cold leftovers in a house that felt more like a prison. I sat there staring at the screen, my coffee gone cold. How do you process that? Your wife, your partner, the woman you swore to build a life with, funneling your life's work to her mother's fantasy. And for what? So Diane could play queen, while I played fool. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I just sat there, letting the truth sink in. Lauren wasn't just drifting. She was stealing. And Diane, she wasn't just greedy. She was orchestrating it all. I closed the laptop, looked around our house at the life I'd built for us. And for the first time, I saw it clearly. I wasn't living in a marriage. I was living in a scam. The truth about Diane's yacht and Lauren's betrayal didn't just break my heart, it shattered the lens I'd been seeing the world through. I wasn't just a husband anymore. I was a mark, a sucker. The guy who thought love meant carrying the load while everyone else cashed in. But that night, staring at those bank statements, something shifted. Not anger, not yet. Clarity. Cold, sharp clarity. I wasn't going to beg for Lauren's love anymore. I wasn't going to let Diane bleed me dry. It was time to take back my life. First move, protect what was mine. I opened a new checking account the next morning, one with only my name on it. Direct deposits, freelance payments, everything went there. The joint account I left just enough for bills, $500, no more, no less. No spa days, no girls' trips, no yacht payments. Lauren didn't notice right away. She was too busy texting Brad, planning her next team outing. But I was done funding her lies. I needed more than financial distance, though. I needed answers. So I hired a private investigator, a guy named Mike, who looked like he'd seen too many late nights and bad divorces. Give me a week, he said. I'll dig up what you need on this Brad guy and your mother-in-law. While Mike worked, I kept digging on my own. I wasn't proud of it, but I checked Lauren's email. She'd left her laptop open, like she didn't think I'd ever dare. That's when I found it, the email that turned my blood to ice. It was from Brad, sent 3 weeks ago. Babe, we're so close, it read. Once we get the rest of his savings, you file for divorce. Half of everything's yours, and we're set. Don't let him guilt you. He's too soft to fight back. The rest of my savings, I checked the numbers. I'd saved $200,000 over the years, scrimping, working overtime, thinking it was for our future, our kids, our retirement. They were planning to take it all. Lauren had replied, "He's clueless. I've got him wrapped around my finger. Just keep Diane happy and were golden. Golden. They were plotting to gut me, to leave me with nothing, and she was calling it golden. I sat back, my hand shaking, not from sadness, but from a kind of quiet rage. This wasn't just about money. This was betrayal on a level I couldn't fathom. Lauren, the woman I'd loved since she laughed at my dumb jokes in the break room, was planning to ruin me. And Brad. He wasn't just some flirty coworker. Mike's report came back 2 days later, and it confirmed my worst fears. Brad Whitaker had a history, 3 other women, all coworkers, all with bank accounts drained before he ghosted them. He was a con artist, and Lauren was his latest partner in crime. Diane was the mastermind pulling strings from her yacht, but Brad was the muscle charming his way into Lauren's head. I didn't confront her. Not yet. Confronting her would have been like yelling at a brick wall. She'd just cry. Twist it, make me the bad guy. No, I needed a plan. I started small, methodical. I locked down the credit cards, set Lauren's limit to $100, and turned on alerts for every purchase. I canceled automatic transfers to her Venmo, stopped covering her Uber rides. I wasn't trying to control her. I was done being her bank. And you know what? It felt good. For the first time in years, I was thinking about me. Not Lauren, not Diane, not Brad, me. But the real plan was bigger. I wasn't just going to walk away. I was going to make sure they felt the weight of what they'd done. Every lie, every dollar, every smirk. They thought I was soft, clueless. They thought I'd keep bending. They were wrong. What do you do when your whole life turns out to be a scam? You don't cry. You don't beg. You get even. I'd spent years swallowing my pride, biting my tongue, thinking if I loved Lauren hard enough, she'd come back to me. But love doesn't fix a liar. It doesn't stop a thief. And it sure as hell doesn't change someone who's been playing you for a fool. By the time I had all the evidence, bank statements, emails, Mike's report on Brad's scams, I was done waiting, done hoping. It was time to face them, all of them. The opportunity came at Diane's annual family dinner, a big show she put on every year at her overpriced Austin condo. Picture it, long table, crystal glasses, catered food I'd probably paid for. Lauren was there, glowing in a new dress, chatting with relatives like she was auditioning for a role. Brad was there too, invited as her work friend, all charm and slick hair, sipping wine like he owned the place. Diane presided over it all, her diamond earrings catching the light, her laugh sharp as a knife. I sat quietly, my folder of evidence tucked in my jacket, waiting for the right moment. Halfway through dinner, Diane raised her glass for a toast. To family, she said, and to those who make our dreams possible. She winked at Lauren. My stomach churned. That was my cue. I stood up, cleared my throat. I'd like to add to that, I said, my voice steady. Every eye turned to me. Lauren frowned, sensing something off. Brad shifted in his seat. I pulled out my phone, connected it to the Bluetooth speaker, Diane's pride and joy, and played a recording. Lauren's voice filled the room. Mom, I got it under control. He won't notice. I transferred another $5,000 last week. Gasps. Diane's face froze. Then I opened the folder, slid printouts across the table, bank statements, showing $50,000 funneled to Diane, receipts for Brad's $2,000 watch emails about their plan to take my $200,000 savings. Lauren, I said, looking straight at her, you spent $10,000 a month on spa days, brunches, and gifts for Brad. My money. Our money. Care to explain? Her face went white. She stammered, Nathan, You're making a scene. This isn't what it looks like, isn't it? I turned to the table. She's been draining our account to fund her mom's yacht. And Brad here, he's been helping her plan to divorce me and take everything. I dropped the email printout in front of Brad. His smirk vanished. Lauren tried to flip it. She stood, tears welling up, voice shaking. You're controlling Nathan. You're trying to trap me. I needed space, and you're punishing me for it. Classic. Make me the villain. But I was ready. Space. I said calm, cold. Is that what you call lying to my face? Stealing from our future? Or is it space when you and Brad plan to clean me out? I looked at her family, her aunts, her cousins, all staring horrified. My money, my rules, right, Lauren? That's what you said. Then came the twist. I didn't see coming. Brad cornered, panicked. He stood pointing at Diane. She made me do it, he blurted. Diane said if I got close to Lauren, kept her distracted, we'd all get a cut. She's been planning this for years. The room went dead silent. Diane's glass slipped wine, spilling like blood across the tablecloth. Lauren's jaw dropped. Mom, she whispered. Diane's face twisted, but she didn't deny it. She just glared at Brad, then at me, like I'd ruined her game. I didn't yell. I didn't need to. The truth was louder than any shout. Lauren's family stared at her, at Diane, at Brad, the air thick with betrayal. I picked up my folder, looked at Lauren one last time. You wanted space. You've got it now. I walked out, leaving them to choke on their lies. The sound of Diane's sputtering excuses faded behind me. For the first time in years, I felt light. Not free, not yet, but close. Walking out of that dinner felt like shedding a skin I'd outgrown. Lauren's tears, Diane's glare, Brad's pathetic excuses, they didn't follow me. For the first time in years, I wasn't carrying their weight. But I wasn't done. Exposing them was just the spark. Now I wanted fire. I wanted them to feel the consequences of their lies, not just in their wallets, but in their bones. You don't steal a man's life and walk away clean. Not on my watch. The next morning, I met with a lawyer, Sarah, a woman with a handshake like steel, and a knack for cutting through nonsense. I handed her everything: bank statements, emails, Mike's report on Brad's history of scams. This is fraud, she said, flipping through the pages. Diane's been siphoning your money through Lauren, and Brad's a repeat offender. We can bury them. Bury them. I didn't want revenge for revenge's sake. I wanted justice. I wanted them to lose what they'd taken for granted. Reputation, freedom, the high life they'd built on my back. Sarah filed a case against Diane for financial fraud. The $50,000 she'd funneled to her yacht, just the tip of the iceberg. My investigator Mike dug deeper and found Diane had been wiring money to offshore accounts, dodging taxes and claiming deductions for a charity she ran. That's when the real bomb dropped. The charity Hope for Austin was a sham. Diane had been soliciting donations from local businesses, churches, even our neighbors, promising to help homeless families. Instead, every cent went to her lifestyle designer bags, private jet rentals, a second home in the Bahamas. She'd raised $250,000, my money included, and not a dime went to anyone in need. In Austin, a city that prides itself on community, this was a betrayal that cut deep. People trusted her. They believed her lies. And she laughed all the way to the bank. The news broke a week later. A local reporter tipped off by Sarah ran a story: Austin socialite exposed in charity scam. Diane's face was plastered across, her yacht photos mocked in every comment section. Neighbors who'd once fawned over her, stopped inviting her to brunches. Her charity gala planned for next month was canceled when sponsors pulled out. Then the IRS came knocking. They seized her condo, her yacht, her precious Mercedes. Diane, the queen of manipulation, was left scrambling her empire, crumbling faster than her fake tears. Lauren didn't escape either. Her company caught wind of the scandal. Turns out Brad had been using company resources to cover his tracks, fake expense reports, client dinners that never happened. When HR dug into it, they found Lauren's emails to Brad, plotting to drain my savings. She was fired on the spot, her name dragged through the mud alongside his. Her Instagram, once full of glamorous selfies, went silent. Her so-called friends, the ones she'd partied with on my dime, vanished. She was alone, no job, no allies, just the echo of her own choices. Brad. He tried to run, packed a bag, and booked a flight to Miami, probably hoping to start over with another Mark. But Mike had tipped off the authorities. Brad was arrested at the airport, charged with fraud and embezzlement from his previous scams. Last I heard, he was facing 5 years as charm useless behind bars. Justice doesn't always come, but when it does, it hits like a freight train. I watched it all unfold from my new apartment, a small place downtown, with a view of the Colorado River. I didn't gloat. I didn't need to. Seeing Diane's empire collapse, Lauren's world shrink, Brad's lies catch up, it was enough. They'd built their castle on my back, and now it was rubble. What's the price of betrayal? Not just money. It's everything you thought you could keep while you took someone else's life apart. They learned that the hard way. Justice had swept through like a wildfire, leaving Lauren, Diane, and Brad in ashes. But for me, Nathan Carter, it wasn't about watching them burn. It was about what came after. I'd spent years pouring myself into a marriage that was nothing but a mirage, a lie dressed up in promises. Now, with the truth laid bare, I wasn't just free, I was awake. For the first time in a long time, I could breathe. I moved into a one-bedroom apartment downtown. Nothing fancy, just a small space with a view of Austin's skyline. The river sparkled at night, and I'd sit on my balcony, coffee in hand, feeling something I hadn't in years, peace. I quit my soul-crushing job at the tech firm and went freelance coding projects on my terms. I picked up my camera again, a hobby I'd buried, when Lauren said it was a waste of time. I started hiking, capturing sunsets over the hill country, the kind of beauty that reminds you the world's bigger than your pain. I laughed louder, stayed out later, reconnected with old friends Lauren had pushed away. I wasn't asking permission to live anymore. Why should I? I'd earned this. Then I met Rachel. It wasn't some movie moment, no violins or slow-motion glances. I was at a bookstore flipping through a photography book when she asked if I'd read it. She was a journalist grounded with a quick wit and eyes that actually saw me. We talked for hours about art, about life, about the kind of things you forget matter when you're stuck in a broken marriage. I told her early on, I'm not here to be anyone's ATM or punching bag. I've done that. She nodded, no hesitation. Good. I don't need rescuing. I want a partner. That word partner felt like a key turning in a lock I'd forgotten I had. Lauren tried to reach out. A month after the dinner, after her job was gone and her friends had ghosted her, I got a letter. Handwritten 2 pages, her words shaky on the page. I was wrong. Nathan, it said. Mom pushed me, told me it was the only way to keep us secure. I didn't see how much I hurt you until it was too late. I'm sorry. Sorry. After years of lies, of stealing my savings, of planning to leave me with nothing, I read it once, then set it aside. I didn't reply. Not because I hated her, but because I didn't need to. Her apology wasn't for me, it was for her guilt. And I was done carrying that for her. I thought about the man I used to be, the one who thought love meant giving until you're empty. That guy's gone. I learned something through all this. Love isn't a blank check. It's not about bleeding yourself dry for someone who gives you scraps. It's about respect, about showing up for each other. Lauren and Diane took that from me, but they didn't break me. They taught me to value myself. And Rachel, she reminded me what it feels like to be seen not as a provider, but as a man. One evening, I was out shooting photos by Lake Travis, the sky blazing orange and pink. Rachel was with me, laughing at my bad puns, her camera slung over her shoulder. I looked at her, at the horizon, at the life I'd rebuilt from the ground up. And I realized something. It's better to stand alone in peace than to beg for love in a storm. What do you do when you lose everything you thought you had? You don't. You find what you were always meant to be: yourself.